You want some? Allow me to share you this masterpiece. Wait. Not gonna lie, if I was in front of... What do you mean? I have to wash the dishes again? Anyway, yeah, gonna shitting myself too. It's about finding where are we from, that we can better know ourselves.
When GD's in the house, when GD's in the house, guess who's back? It's your boy GD. Now yeah, got the power, the power, power, up power, power, the power, 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 yet. 엇가절보다 샬라샬라 하다가 shout out. Pump up the power, 난 제로워 yap. Do not waste your time, yeah, it's gotta be me. Prove them all wrong, I got all the receipts. I got the power, the power.
Attention everyone, welcome to the show, codename or just stand by. Today we're going to talk about where am I from, so let's not wasting time and let's go. So, where am I from? The Hmong community is an ethnic group with their own rich cultural heritage, identity and living style. They lived at first in the mountainous regions of China, Vietnam and Laos and Thailand. The community don't get recognized as a nation yet on these days, but their own culture, language and traditions could make them considered as one. The community exists since 4,000 years. Before getting called Hmong, some of other countries always used to call us the Hmong the Man of Mountains because the first generation used to be living exclusively in the mountains of China. Talk about China, Chinese people, especially the imperial authority, always call us the Hmong during the first generation, and during the few thousand years they call us the Miao, which means in Chinese the young shoots or either the young ground plants. And not gonna lie, this is actually a very weird name to call us because actually it's a very distinguished way to describe our people due to the fact that we live in mountains. First of all, the Hmong were used to live exclusively, like I said, in the mountain in China, but during the Ming and Qing dynasty, China wanted to reunite all Miao who existed and lived in the Chinese soil. But the Miao didn't want it to be taken control by Chinese empire, so they make a rebellion because they were afraid of losing their own culture. And because of this rebellion, Hmong people have been persecuted and radicalized by the Chinese empire. And because of that, Hmong have been forced to leave China and immigrate to other countries. And during this time, countries like Thailand, Laos and Vietnam weren't too focused, so they decided to start a new life, making the Hmong an independent community. And you know what? The crazy part of this story is that after the both dynasties, Hmong people, after they immigrate to the other countries, they decide to keep on some culture inspired from Chinese ones, like for example, the Chinese hat, the same environment, the traditional outfit, the New Year festival, the sacre of the bloodline. Acknowledge me! And no, actually Hmong doesn't get to copy everything about the Chinese culture, because actually to prove it, Hmong got actually their proper and own culture, like for example, the language. Hmong has got their proper own language, and so for example, let's take the word plate. In Chinese, plate means the pansi, and the difference with Hmong is that in Hmong we call the plate the pa. So yeah, there's a big difference between Chinese and Hmong language. The religion. In their religions, Hmong has got acknowledged some of magics with the shamans, but also some fantastic creature, and also some real creature that they got feared and that they consider it as the devil, like for example, big cats like tiger or leopards, the Chinese sea dragon, and snake. Not gonna lie, if I was in front of one of these creatures, I think I'm gonna shitting myself too. The traditional outfit. It was a time that Hmong always sew their own clothes, which is similar to some of a Chinese imperial outfit like this. And not gonna lie, this type of clothes are very unique in style. The food. Hmong has got also some specialty in gastronomy, and here are some examples. Khao pia, pork belly, purple rice, roasted herb fish. You want some?
Come get some!
The music. Allow me to share you this masterpiece. That was what we call in Hmong the taka. It's actually a Hmong traditional flute who can be played in some many Hmong events, like for example in the festival. And yeah, talk about festival. The festival, like the Chinese New Year festival celebration, Hmong also celebrate the New Year by organizing a huge festival. And here are some of these activities. And some of them can be source of controversy, like for example, concert with local singer, animals battle. Wait, before my videos get kicked off by YouTube, let me explain you something. Okay, I know that it could be a very source of controversy about animals battle, but actually in the first generation, the Hmong don't get the conscious that the animal could also get some conscious like we the human could have. So I feel so sorry for those who get shocked by the animals battle, but don't worry, on these days the sort of activities has been forbidden in the Hmong community and the Hmong festivals, so don't worry about the romance in Hmong. Okay, let me explain you first some a few things before we getting into this video, just to make sure that you understand anything. Like I said before in this video, we, the Hmong culture, actually are based on the sacred of the bloodline. And no, I will not making this joke again. We, the Hmong, got some limited families name in our lineage, which means that we got to face some strict law about the romance in the Hmong. But let me explain. Our community is being divided in a very few different clans, like the Uchihas and the Hyugas in Naruto's, for example. And we, the Romans, are very based on exactly the same as the Naruto's way, if you got the reference. I mean, for example, before we get into this romance, let's take a look, for example, with the Naruto's reference. We've got in one side Itachi Uchiha and the other side Shisui Uchihas. I think you will all agree with me that they got the same family's name, but they're not really related in the blood, like for example Itachi Uchiha and Sasuke Uchiha. By the way, Itachi Uchiha is the best Naruto character ever. If you know also the reference in Naruto, you know that Itachi got a girlfriend whose name is Izumi, which is also the Uchiha name, which means that they both can marry, but, and that's the point I want to meet it, you cannot marry a same person with the same name in the same clan. That's right, because of the particularity lineage about the Hmong community, we cannot marry the same person who's got the same name in the same clan as us. By the way, talk about taboos, you can say anything to the old generation about the romance like we got today. It's like, for example, kissing, or you know what I mean. Perfect transition. If you do what I mean before in when you are two in couple but you're not married, and if you do it in the house of one of yours, either it's you or your partners, it can feel like forbidden for both families, and to clean the dishonor that you make, you must marry it, and sometimes it makes some unhappy marriage, and some kind of situation happen like this. What do you mean I have to wash the dishes again? I already did it twice yesterday. Oh, you want to leave me? Great, get out of my house and never come back again. I only marry you just for... Yeah, a very mess. Anyway, you can tell that this situation with the romance in Hmong is a very complex thing in our culture, but that doesn't mean that we're all very cruel with other people. We're actually trying to be a Pacific community since this happened. During the Vietnam War, Laos became a strategic place for the war between Russian communists and their allies against local people and USA. For the contest, we are in 1946, France signed what we call the Geneva Accords, this agreement to make peace between France and Vietnam to end the First Indochina War after the defeat of France. But after the sign of this agreement, Vietnam was divided into two territories, the North who decided to ally with Russia and the South with USA. This split was supposed to be temporary, but after their allegiance to their allies, it became a deadly war. During this agreement, Laos were neutral in the situation, but the country has been invaded by the communist allies, so the Hmong have been recruited by USA to defend the country with the head of the Army of Laos, the General Van Po. Their mission will consist of protecting all illegal American army stuff from the enemies, like for example, radar, military airport, and illegal HQ. But it wasn't without any consequences. Some of entire Hmong villages have been destroyed or taken by the communists, and thousands of Hmong were killed and or disappeared during the war. And like it couldn't be worse, in 1975, Laos leadership has been taken by force by a local communist military army, the Pathelao. And this new community, the Pathelao, they said that whoever works with the America was considered to traitors. So in this time in Laos, the Pathelao decided to make and start a genocide over the Hmong. So all the Hmong decide to try to escape and go to Thailand in maybe the hardest extreme condition that even myself couldn't imagine. And many of them making it into some countries like obviously USA, Australia, Canada, or like my families, for example, who's making it in this country in France. About my experience in this war, actually, luckily I didn't live in it because I was born after what happened during this war, but actually my mom experienced it and it was a very terrible experience. And to share you some story, my mom was born in the war in 1968, and her family fleeing the Laos to Thailand, and then they fleeing to Thailand to came in France, and actually it was without any consequences, because actually during this travel my mom actually lost her uncle but also her mom, and when they came to France it was very difficult for her and her family to acclimate into this country, but also there was being the source of persecution by other people who's making racist joke and racist comments about them, and they didn't get the easy life. And actually the true part is that after that the Hmong wasn't considered yet by all their allies as a big help for them until a few years ago. And actually, if I had a message to send to the entire world, especially to the politicians, because they are the head of every countries, I know that actually I'm nobody and that will mean nothing, but just I would say think about your people and think about your families, actually, because if you want to start a war, just make sure to take the good decision, because actually when you start a war, the people who's can't who's the war is not the enemies, it's always the people you try to defend, because it will actually destroy their life. And if I had to conclude this video by what about the Hmong? What was next for them until today? Well, actually, on these days, the Hmong continue to balance the preservation of their ancestral tradition with integration into modern societies, contributing significantly to the social, economic, and cultural landscape of the countries in which they reside. I hope you liked this video. It was actually a video to introduce myself about where am I from. I hope you liked this video. Please subscribe to my channel, hit the bottom like. You can also follow me on TikTok, and I should say until next time, stand by.